Hey YouTube, this is a hi, let's get to know each other kind of video. I had a request from Nisa's wife, Toto, and she wanted to know about my books. So this is a very in-house video that may only be seen by one person. So I'm going to begin at my desk with my books, and the bottom there is an old, very beat-up dictionary that's been with me for ages. On top of that is the Hebrew-English Tanakh, what we usually call the Old Testament. It's a Hebrew Bible. And on top of that is Crowley's The Book of Lies. Moving right along, by the way, that's my new computer screen. I like my new computer screen. And right next there, all those blinking lights are my external modem for my Roadrunner high speed, prominently featuring my mouse there. Real exotic, huh? This is, I guess, my first close-up of my soundboard or a mixer. And it's very basic, very simple, and very cheap. And it's all I need for what I do. And behind that, of course, is the computer itself. Here you've got Peter Schaeffer's play Equus at the top. The guide and index to Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, and Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson proper, then Anne Rice's interview with the vampire, and below that the Bible of the Adversary, and below that my father's old beat-up Berkeley translation of the Bible, and then below that Crowley's the Book of Thoth for his tarot deck he made with somebody named Harris, I think. I can't remember her first name. And these are my tarot cards here. Can't see them because of the glare. This is the Thoth deck, which I'm getting a lot more into lately, and then the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, a giant deck, very large. And this this here is the cigar I use sometimes in the comedy bits I do. I wrap it up in cling wrap because I don't smoke, and I'm not going to keep buying more cigars. This is my book box. I'm always losing books, so I came up with a system with the books I use the most. I'll just stick in a box, and when I'm done I put them back in the box. So what you see on the bookshelves are more things that I only use rarely. They're red, they're there, they're up there, but things that you refer to a lot are here, along with some junk that ended up there. So but okay, here's the Sefer Yetzirah. Okay, that's very, very basic to my thinking, and it's a very highly coded book, and it's a very coded book about the code. This is older than the Zohar, and I take the Sefer Yetzirah far more seriously than I do the Zohar. The Zohar is really steeped in Talmudic Judaism. The Sefer Yetzirah is older than the Talmud. Here's the Buddhist Bible, and edited by Dwight Goddard. This was the book that most influenced Jack Kerouac in his Buddhist phase. Okay, Dictionary of Old Testament Words for English Readers, Aaron Pick. This is a very easy, breezy reference. It's got every book in the Tanakh, every word in the Tanakh is here. And you can look up the English word and then get not only the Hebrew, but the Hebrew pronunciation transliterated in English. This is the Cipher of Genesis. It's one of the few books by Carlos Suarez that is still available. You know, it's still for sale. Most of his books are out of print. Oh, this silly thing. Here's something funny. Writing the romantic comedy. I bought this because I had an online friend at a screenwriter's website that I belonged to, and she was writing a romance, and I was always kidding her about it and giving her a hard time. And you really get an insight into women when they're writing a love story. So, I mean, I learned a lot from it, but I finally recommended this book to her, and I mean, I read through enough of it to think that she would get something out of it. I don't know how it ended up in my book. This is an out-of-print book by Carlos Suarez. Very important. It's the not just the Cipher of Genesis, but the Song of Songs, the Sefer Yetzirah as well. And it's out of print, and it's going to cost you some money. Okay. Lovecraft. I have everything Lovecraft ever wrote, and, this is one of those. The Book of Horizon by William Blake. Why I'm Not a Christian by Bertrand Russell. An Inquiry Concerning Human Understanding by David Hume. You don't understand Western philosophy if you don't understand Hume. Now, as I was going through all these books, I couldn't imagine anybody being very interested at all in, okay, these are my books, so what? And even to keep myself interested, I found myself talking more about the philosophy books than anything else, because, I haven't talked about formal philosophy in the Lucifer series. I know philosophy is a pretty loose term in everyday conversation. It just means the meaning of life. What's the meaning of life to you? Or, how your way of going about something is your philosophy. I mean, even football, it says, what's your philosophy, of the game? But philosophy in the formal sense is basically about the nature of knowledge and what is knowledge and what are the limits of knowledge. And part of philosophy is, what's it all about? What's it all mean? And who am I? Who are you? And all that kind of thing that people, can't help but have some kind of philosophy about that. I mean, even if it's really totally unconscious, they have values that make life worth living for them. And or things they tell themselves that make life worth living to them. But philosophy is a much wider and even more technical term in at the university level, college level, just the so-called higher learning in the institutional sense. Philosophy is a much more technical term. And Western philosophy just isn't even comprehensible if you don't get David Hume, and it can be boiled down really pretty simply. We have something we call cause and effect in science. And so what goes up must come down, okay? I throw a rock up in the air, it has to come down. What does that mean? Because something's causing it to come back down, and we'll call it gravity. And what's the nature of gravity, and so forth and so on. And you build on that all kinds of principles that you can test out, and in every step of the way, it's all about cause and effect. Well, Hume was a fly in the ointment. He came along and said, why do we trust that? Why do we trust that every time we do something and get the same result, we'll always get the same result? Even though it seems very likely to us, what is it about us that gives us that dead certainty that it will always turn out the same way every single time? And therefore we can abstract from that, that this effect is due to this or that cause. Here I'm saying it, putting it in a way that sounds like Hume is saying, why are we constructed to think that way? That's getting way ahead of myself. It's hard to talk about Hume without getting ahead of Hume and anticipating all the replies and reactions to Hume, because that gets into a philosophy, school of philosophy called idealism that started with Descartes and continued on into Kant and Hegel and so forth. Where an idealism doesn't mean what we mean in everyday conversation. It just means that there's idea construction in the mind. It reflects perfectly the clockwork universe of Newtonian physics, and we will arrive at a point where we can explain the nature of knowledge and thus explain all phenomena and our place in the universe. Like I say, nice, neat, and tidy. In physics, the ultimate nice, neat, and tidy is something called the grand unification theory, where they're trying to bring a core equation that will unite the diverse laws of the universe that come under electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, and gravity. They've actually made some strides in this, but they haven't quite pulled it off. Einstein looked for it all of his life in vain, and I'm very skeptical that they're ever going to find a nice, neat, tidy equation to bring all the laws of the universe together under a single constitution, let's call it. You know, on the one hand, I can't help but think that the most atheistic thinkers like Bertrand Russell and that whole Oxford, Cambridge crowd, I can't help but think that they're still unconsciously driven by a religious impulse on the part of the ego to explain all things. I mean, the religious fundamentalists have explained all things with the Bible. Okay, the God says this and that's how it is, and God knows even if I don't know, so it's taken care of. Someone up there understands it all. But, you know, in the godless universe, you have to understand it all, or at least the thinking type intellectual person wants to. And so they want to believe there is a basic equation to all phenomena. They just believe that it's there, and then you can make that universe nice, neat, and tidy. Now, absent that, Hume still stands. Okay, Hume still stands, that you're still thinking, well, because everything results in the same result, if you do the same thing over and over again, then it follows that there's cause and effect, and there's ultimate cause, ultimate effect. Physics belies at some levels of subatomic activity. It belies the idea that cause and effect can ever be pinned down, or that you can even get at a phenomenon without changing it because of your participation in it when you get down to a certain level. The uncertainty principle and so forth. Okay, all of that belies all of that, and it's not like Oxford and Cambridge don't acknowledge that. They do, but they still can't give it up. Okay, they still can't give up the nice, neat, and tidy thing, and so they wait on physicists who are interested in cosmology, like Stephen Hawking, and I'll talk about him in the books, videos, who are searching after the grand unification theory, and what have you got this week, and can we put this whole thing to rest or not? It's really what philosophy is, waiting on physics. And that's the situation. And while we're waiting, David Hume is still there, and Russell admired Hume. Nobody's ignoring Hume. He had this point, and everyone knows, well, it's silly, of course it's all cause and effect. But the more you find out about physics, the more it's like, well, you're not ever going to get at that ultimate cause. You're not going to be able to ever really get at it. So, in the meantime, there's only empiricism, there's only experience, there's only the logic of experience, observation, and so forth. And that's your point of departure when you're talking about knowledge, even in the most linear sense. And then when you want to get beyond the linear, even more so, it's about the practical dimension of human experience. A computer book about a software that doesn't even exist anymore. The Portable Karl Marx. I'm not a Marxist, but I sure make an effort to understand that stuff. And the person I call BB on YouTube, drew my attention to R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch. And this is one of his books. He talks about numbers and all of that, and people relate it to Gurdjieff quite a bit. Google advertising tools, King James Version of the Bible, more Lovecraft, The Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley, Witness, the autobiography of John Bennett. The troll seems to think that I've only read 2 books about Gurdjieff, and that I guess he thinks this is one of them. I don't know how he comes up with these ideas. I don't know. He just wanders around the house stoned or something. That guy's a piece of work. Tolkien, more Crowley. Okay. More Lovecraft. William Shakespeare, ladies and gentlemen. I inherited this cheapy bust from my old man. He's gone. He's long gone. passed away a long time ago. Below there, if you're catching that, that's Dracula by Bram Stoker. I first read Dracula when I was in grade school with a friend. I read Dracula and Frankenstein in grade school. Nobody believes that, but I was really motivated. I was really into monsters. Playboy's Illustrated History of Organized Crime. Lots of great photographs in that. I don't know if the camera's catching it. I can't see the screen.